Welcome back to Varsity Sports Now for our Signing Day special. And now it's time to talk about some of the University of South Dakota recruits. They got a few from in-state this year, one of them being Spencer Hopkins of Sioux Falls O'Gorman, and he told us why he's looking forward to becoming a Coyote.
You know, I felt at home there. I felt like it's definitely a team I could feel like I was part of the family, you know. I felt like the coaches really cared about us and that ultimately it just felt right when I was on campus, you know.
Maybe the biggest local name to sign with the Coyotes was Shea Bratland of Watertown. Now, he was solid on both sides of the ball in high school, but he plans to stick to offense at USD.
I thought about playing college football since probably my sophomore year. I started thinking I can play at a high level and work hard and get to that level. And ultimately, I wanted to play D1 football, so that was my goal all along. They've pretty much told me I'm a running back and kick returner maybe. So I'm not sure if I'm in a red shirt or what's going to happen there, but yeah, they said running back for me.
For more on the Coyote signings, let's toss it over to Jay Elson and Mick Garry.
All right, thanks, Jason. As you said, Mick Garry from the Argus Leader joining us now. And Mick covers the Coyotes, obviously, for the Argus, and we spent a lot of time together doing that. But let's talk about some of these guys now, Mick, that the Coyotes are bringing in the class of 2014. I want to start, though, with Joe Glen. He's always said that he, quote, wants to recruit from the steps of Old Main on out. And in your experience over the last couple of years, do you think he's sticking to that philosophy, at least in terms of South Dakota guys?
I'd say so. And I don't know that you measure that just precisely by the numbers, but I think that if two kids are equal in ability, at least as the coaches assess it, South Dakota kid's going to get more interest from the University of South Dakota and South Dakota State, or anywhere else in the state, for that matter. And he's one of those guys. I would say that he probably emphasizes it a little bit more than his predecessor because he's from the Midwest, and it means a lot when one of their own achieves something. I mean, you look at Kean Loggy and certainly John Wessel coming up, and there are plenty of other examples, but it means a lot to the university when one of their own achieves something.
Let's talk about this year's class in particular. Did they fill any needs with the local guys that they did bring in 2014?
Craig Krolikowski, I said it. He's an impressive looking guy. He's 6'5", I don't know, 230, and a pretty good athlete. With those tall kids, I think that usually the idea is that they're going to come in and they're going to get bigger. They're going to put on 20 or 30 pounds, and by the time they've been in the program 3 years, most likely a redshirt sophomore, they're ready to go for the next 3 years. They got a Missouri Valley level football player there. That's the idea. He would be one guy that would address a need. I think for the most part, though, when they're going with kids from the state, they just want a kid that they think that will project to play ball someday for them. And certainly some of the walk-ons, they see something they like about the kid. Maybe he's not ready yet, and they're sure of that. But they see something where it's like, okay, if this kid takes off and does this, he has got the potential to help us.
And you mentioned Krolikowski. I mean, not unlike the build of like a guy like Drew Iddings, another guy, a Rapid City guy that has been successful at that size for USD and still young. Another guy I find interesting is Chase Glaciers. He's a Class A quarterback out of Custer. His high school coach thinks he's the real deal. Now, it's been a while since we've seen a South Dakota kid actually play QB at the U. And Kevin Earl, of course, just a junior. So he's going to have some time, Glacier, to grow into a college quarterback if, in fact, that is where he plays. Do you see a day where he's actually under center at USD? That's
really hard to predict right now. I would guess that he would be redshirted next year. In his favor, good athlete, and also that I'm not sure that the next starter after Kevin Earl is on that roster right now. So that would be another encouraging sign for him. And as we talked about in the past, Joe Glen has got a great appetite for bringing quarterbacks into the program. They don't always end up at quarterback. And I'm not saying this Chase is not going to be a quarterback, but certainly he's a good athlete. And within the program, there are, how many, 10? Maybe 10 high school quarterbacks on that team right now?
Yeah, and contributing in different ways. A lot of them ended up at receiver, maybe safety, whatever. So yeah, certainly somewhere a guy with that athletic ability is going to find a spot, a way to get on the field. All right, thanks a lot, Mick, for coming in, helping us out with this signing day special.
Always a pleasure, Jay. You know that.
All right, Mick. Well, there's a lot of talented players in North and South Dakota that will not be playing at the Division I level. And when we come back, Danny and I are going to take a look at some of those high school stars that chose Division II. That's next.
Varsity Sports Now, presented by Shield.